Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Okay. Happy Sunday, day one. We are getting started here. So if you haven't registered, jump into the Zoom room at bit.ly/UnleashHerRebel. And we're going to get into the first day of training and a welcome. And I am just going to get started here shortly. So if you're able to jump into the Zoom room, I'm going to be giving away prizes this week, so best to jump into the Zoom room. And I hope you guys had a great weekend and are feeling good, or maybe you're feeling tired. I have a lot in store for you tonight, so I'm going to get started here in just a minute. So tonight's day one of 5 exclusive secrets to unleash her rebel. And this is a 7-day virtual experience that, welcome everybody, welcome. Thank you for coming. Please mute yourselves. I'm going to mute you all. If you have a question, raise your hand. But thank you for joining me. We are also streaming live to the Make Life Delicious page. And I want to welcome you to 5 exclusive secrets to unleash her rebel. And this is for entrepreneurs and business owners and people who have a lot going on and are overachievers maybe, and are looking for strategies to unblock their resistance, unblock their mindset, and have more across their business, across their personal life, across self-care and self-love. And I have so much in store for you. We're going to get into secret day one, and I'm going, so for 7 days, we're going to do this daily. And this is an opportunity for you to get live coaching experience, really get to explore and take time with yourself during this training, and learn something and share with others. So if you're struggling with a scarcity mindset because of the fear of unknowns, or maybe your daily business priorities are always making you put your health on, making your health take a back seat. If you're having difficulty finding time for self-care, and you're increasingly maybe on a short fuse with the whole spring equinox and the time changes, we are experiencing maybe anxiety and some tensions all around us energetically. And if you're feeling overwhelmed in other areas of your life because, including relationships and family commitments during this time, and if you're feeling unfulfilled and frustrated, this is the place where you want to be over this week, because I want to give you a space to really self-love and self-care, and really understand the science of why we may be holding ourselves back. And so let me just make sure that we are recording. And we are. So welcome everybody. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tina Hung. I'm an executive health and mindset coach, and I work on lifestyle nutrition with clients in their midlife. And I have an upcoming book called 60 in Stilettos, Six Secrets to Unleash Your Hidden Badassery. And my entire focus in the coaching work that I do is really to help empower women leaders to do more, to get more, not to do more, to get more out of life, to make life more delicious, to really understand where there may be blocks, where there may be unconsciousness, to raise their level of consciousness and to love themselves more, and making their health and their well-being a priority. Because as mothers, as wives, as spouses, as partners, as business owners, it's hard for us to really be able to give from an empty cup, and this is where it's all about, so today is really about welcoming you. And just so you know, those of you who are just joining in, my name is Tina Hong. I'm an executive health and mindset coach, and I help people really get behind nutritional weight loss and health and well-being through my private and group programs, through retraining mindset and habits. And that starts from how you eat, what you eat, to really getting your mindset and your life and your calendar in a way, and your habits in a way, to actually give you the space to do more, to achieve more, to have more in life. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story. This is my friend Jonathan. Jonathan died a couple years ago. And this is one of the reasons why I do what I do as a health coach. And Jonathan, he was a close friend of mine. He died before the age of 50, and he passed away suddenly. He had it all. He had the house and the vacation homes and the cars and a beautiful family, and he was on the road. He was focusing on his business 24/7 and really killing it, making a lot of money, doing amazing. People loved him. Everybody loved him. He was everyone's friend. And his life was cut short. He died of a massive heart attack. And his life was taken in an instant. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, is when we get to a point in our lives where our business becomes such a priority that we forget to take care of ourselves, that, you know, that we think we can wait, we think we can hold off with our health and wait a little longer, or put it on hold for another time. um, I just want to say that at some point, there's a turnaround point where at some point, those of you who may be struggling with health issues to begin with, it's going to be harder to turn around. And the reason why I do the work that I do is I know it's not just about dieting. It's not just about eating the right things. It's really about our mindset and where our heart's at, and really living a life that's fulfilled and delicious in every single way, across our business, our family, our personal life, and our time. Our time is so valuable. And so this is really one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And I got into health coaching personally after 10 years of taking care of my dad, who had stage 4 cancer. And I knew how life was so fragile, and what suffering actually looked like. And so my whole mission in life here, in this chapter, is really to help raise awareness and help people really turn things around before it's too late. And so that's a little bit about my background. I've been health coaching for about 10 years and working with midlife professionals who have a lot of things that are going on in life. And those people who are totally stressed out, juggling their businesses, the opportunities, the family, taking care of their children, taking care of their parents, all of those things in midlife. This is going through marital changes, going through deaths and losses. It's a time of really a time of heartbreak, but also an opportunity for healing. And so I encourage you to really take this time over the next 7 days to explore where you can make some space for yourself. And that's what this training is really about. And I'll explain the rebel part of it in just a minute. But over the next 7 days, we're going to get into the science of why you haven't been able to lose weight permanently, if that's what you're struggling with. The secret to changing your inner critic, because we know that our inner critic gets in the way of us being able to have more and be able to enjoy the life that we were given every single day. Day 3 is about emotions, habits, and how our mindset actually can make our weight loss permanent. No more yo-yo dieting. So I really get into the mechanics and science of food, but this whole training is entirely about mindset. And day 4 is about anti-nutrients. What are the anti-nutrients that sabotage? And the secret to loving yourself in day 5. And the last 2 days, I'm going to get into intuitive mind body empowerment training and end with the self-love power circle. And I have some guest speakers who will be joining us throughout the week and some mindset and spirituality coaches that can be a part of us, part of this, and lead us in discussions. So please don't miss out. During these trainings, your participation is key. Whether you're joining us live in the Facebook group or you're joining us live on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, you want to be on Zoom because I want to see your faces and I want to see where you're at. And basically, it gives you an opportunity to get laser coaching. And also by joining on Zoom, you're eligible for up to $1,500 in gifts and prizes over this week. So definitely don't miss out. This is going to be a time, a journey, a time for yourself. So encourage you to do this. So the rebel, she is the rebel. And what does that mean? She's a little bit of heaven, but on the wild side. And maybe the wild side hasn't appeared in a while. But this training is really about building your intuition to know what to do in your business and in life. It's like building a muscle and how to take your power back, trusting your inner wisdom and acting immediately so that you have results, whether it comes to your physical health or your business or your relationships. You don't see results until you really tune into that inner wisdom. And that's what this whole thing is about. Why being attached to our outcomes, whether it's about having, a skinny body or attached to our outcomes in terms of our business, what it really means to release that attachment and have it naturally being drawn to you. And then lastly, getting clarity about your vision and what are the actual costs of getting there. What are the real costs? And not talking about the cost in terms of money, but in terms of time, in terms of your legacy that you plan to leave behind one day in this world. Just having clarity of what it means to actually not being able to take care of yourself in a way that is self-compassionate and authentic, and what the cost could potentially look like. And this training is really about your hidden rebel ready to be revealed and to show up like a boss, show up for yourself and own unstoppable health to have more abundance in your life beyond your expectations. And this has to do with self. It has to do with relationships. It has to do with achievement on our businesses, and it has to do with our physical body. And you say, wow, that's a lot in one single training, 1 week of training. But I want you to walk away with having a deep, deep understanding between the connection between your mindset and your health outcomes. I want you to walk away with an actionable plan to create more space and room for self-care and what it means in terms of your calendar and time, and to banish that inner critic so that we can get clear and really get what we deeply desire in life. And finally, to be done with self-punishment, self-doubt, and the guilt. We don't need that. We're going to drop those rocks behind and really be able to do more. So we want to clear all of those negative thoughts, and we want to be in a place of loving one another and loving ourselves in a whole new way and creating new attachments and new beliefs over this week. And transformation, we know, occurs only through healing our past memories and having a vision of the future by allowing us to be our best selves today and allowing it to emerge. And authenticity, I just shared this in the clubhouse room, is about the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we actually are. And sometimes we forget. We forget. We forget who we are, who we forget our purpose because we're so busy chasing. And so I'm going to ask you guys to show your videos, to participate, to really share so that you can get the support that you want right now and tonight. Um, so one thing I wanted to share with you, this is from Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Choosing authenticity means cultivating courage to be imperfect. It's okay to be imperfect and to set boundaries and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. If we can't get to a place of vulnerability, it's so difficult to really be able to heal our past, heal those rocks that we've been carrying on our backs in terms of all the burdens and responsibilities and also the pains. And give yourself this time to actually let go of some of those rocks and to really give yourself an exercise of compassion this week. And knowing that through the strength and struggle that we've all been through in carrying those rocks on our back for all these years, really is an exercise of compassion. And by nurturing the connections that we have and to know that we are enough. And so it's about loving ourselves, even though it could be hard. Okay. So, we often get stuck in this comfort zone, feeling safe and in control in our lives. And oftentimes when we just gravitate towards what we know and are familiar with in our lives, because that feels safe. That feels safe. How many of you actually can relate to that? Feeling safe and knowing that this is familiar and that's your autopilot response. So I encourage you to think this week that it's okay to show up vulnerably. It's okay to actually show up with your imperfections, and to give yourself that space to really open up and to heal those rocks that you've been carrying on your back. And courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be. This Buddhist philosopher, Jung's model of psyche is about our ideas of self are created by identification. The less we cling to these ideas of ourself, the freer and happier we will be. So some of those past programmings and the familiarity, the language and the dialogue that is in our minds constantly, where we are, criticizing ourselves, we have negative talk in our brains. And that tape recording that shows up when we feel like unsafe and we feel like we're failing or we're not being good enough, those identifications from the past are the things that hold us back. One of the things that hold us back. And I want this opportunity, I want for you to really think about how you can actually transform this idea of your past identification, what your roles are, how you've seen yourself. Maybe we could see ourselves in a whole new way. So I would love for some of you on Zoom to show your video cameras and unmute yourself one at a time and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here tonight. Does anybody feel like sharing? Don't be shy. It could just be like a second, but out of curiosity, out of maybe there's something in the languaging of my event page that was drawn to you. Maybe there was something that you saw in one of my videos or my invitations that you were curious about. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Anybody want to share? How about you, Lori or Alexa?
Trying to get to that. You've really spoken to me through Clubhouse. Everything you say, I feel like you're speaking directly to me. So grateful. I don't feel like it was an accident that you're here in this time of my life. I definitely have fought against the inner critic for a lot of my life. And I'm really so thankful to finally be to a point where I'm able to acknowledge that and work past it. And to be in moments where I don't have it, because I had it constantly, for so many years. I was living in fight or flight, which I've never had. They say fight, flight, or freeze. I've never had flight or freeze. I've always had fight. So I've been in fight for so long. So it feels good to really be at a point where I can learn and grow. I can learn from you and I can continue to grow. And I would love to be able to share that with others that I come in contact as well.
Thank you so much, Lori, for sharing. And I'm so glad you jumped in tonight. Thank you so much. That is awesome. And yes, if there's a reason why you're here and you're tuning in, give me a comment below in the Facebook group and let me know that you're tuning in. And also, if you can resonate with Lori in terms of the inner critic and how it might have held you back and in the past, and how you're ready to make a commitment going forward to really get your power back. And that's what this whole training's about over this week, is really to get your power back, and not get your power back in being rebellious, but in an angelic way, in a self-love kind of way, in a gentle way, and being rebellious in terms of not just accepting how we've been in the past, and be willing to be creative and imaginative about our future, our next chapter, how we want to actually show up in this world. Next step. So thank you, Lori, for sharing that. Alexandria, do you want to share? Hi.
Hi.
People.
So I was I totally understand what Lori was saying. But what really changed is I have my little guy. He's a month old now.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have 2 different businesses and I literally had to slow down more with this pregnancy. So I see why this has come to me, because I can see how your friend was doing a whole lot. And having to slow down is a lot that you're not used to.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's like we become so unconscious about getting things done on our task list. Yeah, go ahead, Andrea. Tell us.
So I'm like, I had to literally just stop. And that was a struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I have to restructure a whole lot
Mm.
in both of my businesses and life in general so that I can relax and actually take care of myself,
Mm.
number one.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
I love it. Thank you so much, Alexandria, and thank you for sharing
Hmm.
your baby with us, your gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Alexandria and Lori and everybody who's joining us on in the private Facebook group, the process of being unstuck requires tremendous bravery. And basically, Pima Chodron said, how we really perceive our reality can actually change our DNA and our physical well-being. It really can. There's a direct correlation between our mindset and how we can heal ourselves and actually how we can change our DNA. Your DNA can be changed through epigenetics, and that is through mindset. That is through breathing. That is through natural means. You don't always have to take a pill to heal. And when we get swept away by our habitual momentum, like Alexandria was saying, like, all the things where she's running two businesses and has two babies that she's taking care of. I mean, God, it's amazing. But like, can you imagine what Alexandria's life is like on a day-to-day basis? But here's the deal, like, if we don't interrupt our patterns, even slightly, and that means just taking a pause, that's just taking a breath and actually stepping away, break that pattern. Then we learn to stay. It's okay to stay with our broken hearts or disappointments and our rocks that we carry on our backs and our fears. It's okay to actually acknowledge those things in vulnerability. But when we stick just with the uncertainty and we are in a scarcity mindset and we're afraid to show up and to be vulnerable, that's when we really limit our possibilities. And so I just thank you for that. In the work that I do, I talk about 3 pillars of optimal vitality. And, I work with clients both on the nourishment, both on and off the plate in terms of dietary habits to actually help people lose 50 pounds up to 100 pounds of body fat. And that's kind of my background training in terms of weight loss. But where I've been focused most of my work in the last few years is really about retraining habits, breaking those patterns and just disrupting those patterns that we've been living with, and also our mindset work, which is such a powerful thing. Our mind is such a powerful thing. And just briefly on weight loss, why do people fail at weight loss? It's a $65 billion industry, and only less than 5% of people keep the weight off permanently. And change is perceived as too difficult. And maybe there's not enough support or lack of education or structure. But what I found in the years that I've been coaching clients around their weight loss and their health turnaround is it typically ends up with these mindset issues around self-sabotage, around rationalization, rationalizing in our critical thinking mind of how we can do things or how we can't do things. Instead of tuning into our intuition and into our heart, we get into utilizing our critical mind. And things like shame from our past and also fears today about our future can actually be the mindset issues that can prevent us from weight loss. And that's what I've found working with clients, that when they say I need to lose 20, 30, 50 pounds or up to 100 pounds of weight, what it really comes down to is the mindset. And that's such a critical piece. And for some people, relationship with food goes beyond for essential nourishment. And so think for a second, how would you characterize your relationship with stress or food today? What does that look like? And I do a lot of trainings around food and mood and stress related issues. So continue to follow me and continue with the trainings this week. So we're going to get into more of that over the course of the week. Now, day one, secret number one, the science behind why you haven't been able to lose weight or why you haven't been able to get unstuck from really taking care of yourself in a better, more nourishing way that actually can change your DNA script in terms of what your mind is telling your body in terms of bringing inflammation down, be able to actually lose body fat, actually change our physical DNA. And it comes from a lot of those stressors. But what is the habits of our past? You know, the negative emotions and those stressors that come and interfere with our mindset actually affects our eating behaviors, you know, our emotional eating behaviors, the increase for need for sweet fat foods, or whatever junk foods or whatever, you know, things that we gravitate towards that actually are empty. They're empty, but basically we are searching for more. We're constantly searching for more because when we're in the mindset of scarcity, where we are uncertain about our future, we gravitate towards what is familiar. Well, I know those Oreos are familiar. I know those Doritos are familiar, you know, and you know that it's not helping you emotionally, but that is something that's familiar, that's easy to go to. And the thing is, it's really about results. It's about the output in your businesses and in your life. It's about having results. And in the entirety of my coaching work that I've worked with, clients have tremendous amount of success. It's all been about having results. Okay. So, you know, we have emotional hunger and we have physical hunger, and emotional hunger starts suddenly, actually, whereas physical hunger starts gradually. We can go without food for great amounts of time, but in our mind we think that we need to have it right now. I heard somebody say that they found they had a stash of Oreo cookies in their trunk of their car. How many of you actually stash food in your car just in case you're going to hit a famine? You know, like you got your granola bars in the bag, you got your whatever's, you know, your snacks. So you know, that emotional hunger comes on suddenly, and it shows up like a craving, and it's incessant, and it won't let you stop until you actually get fixated on it and get it. Whereas actual physical hunger is slow and it comes in waves, and it's easier to satisfy in terms of a normal amount of food. Whereas other emotional hunger is difficult to satisfy. I know you guys know this, but there's a chemical piece to it, but it's also emotional. So is it about food or stress? What does neurocognitive science teach us? Here we go, the stress curve. So we know that when we are having high levels of social engagement, which we haven't all because of this pandemic, when we're in a present and a grounded state, when we are mindful and we are compassionate, we are more open. Our physical central vagus nervous parasympathetic system helps us to increase our digestion, our intestinal motility, and resistance to infection and our immune response. And it releases oxytocin, our love hormone, and it gives us the ability to relate and connect. But as the arousal of stress increases, see on the left hand side, the arousal of stress increases, we get into a fear and panic and worry mode. And when you're into fear and panic worry mode, there's a direct physical correlation to our nervous system. Our blood pressure changes, our heart rate changes. We, you know, produce adrenaline. You know, so if you're already amped up in coffee because you haven't had enough sleep, and you need to power through your morning to be able to accomplish more. And you are already at a high arousal state first thing in the morning because you've woken up from stress of not sleeping all night. You know, your physical ability to actually change your insulin activity, and in terms of storing and distributing energy from the food that you eat, your digestion, your ability to have a stronger immune response, your ability to have better relationships change. And so in that fear and panic and worry and anxiety mode, it actually has a direct correlation to our physical state of well-being in terms of our nervous system. Then going up on the stress curve, as our arousal increases to extreme stress, where we're feeling hopeless and trapped. And I know a lot of people during this pandemic have felt trapped and hopeless and shut down. We've been shut down. And, you know, it's brought on a lot of depression and emotional depletion and helplessness. And it's been very difficult for people to be in isolation. And we sometimes get into freeze mode. And when you're in freeze mode in stress, at such a high level of stress on an endured period of time, you're basically, your body is in emergency state. And you are storing fuel, meaning you're storing body fat. You're actually, your endorphins that help you to manage pain actually increases. So your level of pain may increase, but your threshold even increases. So there is a direct correlation, obviously, with stress, and it's so important for us to be able to be mindful and compassionate, and really starts with ourselves. And, you know, the destructive stress cycle begins with perception of an event that I can't control this, where I'm at with things. I can't control the pandemic. I can't control my business. I can't control the outcomes. And we have these attachments to these outcomes. And the stressful dialogue begins in our minds and our emotions. And that turns on our physiological effects, fight or flight mode, into storage, fat storage mode, into, you know, inflammation and constriction. We actually constrict, our bodies start actually contracting instead of expanding. The opposite of contraction is expansion, and more oxygen in our brains and in our lungs. And what we typically do when we get in fight or flight mode is we get into our comfort zone, into our automatic past programming, in our past, in the way we've been familiar with doing things, whether it be our Oreos, whether it be tuning out on television all day long, whether it just be an avoidance. So this week, it's really about saying, I am in control of my destiny. I want to rewire and reprogram those thoughts and emotions into positive affirmations, and believe that God and the universe does provide what is best for me, that it is meant for me, that it's not just, you know, it's not just left to working so hard and powering through all the things that we need to power through, but it's really about, you know, trusting. And when you're in scarcity mode, you can't trust, right? Right? So when we get into more positive affirmations about ourselves, it actually creates a relaxation response, and it physically changes our well-being and our physiology. And we are more expansive when we get into positive affirmations on a daily basis, saying, I am in control. I am worthy. I am self-compassionate. I deserve compassion. And a lot of you are constantly givers and constantly, you know, peacemakers in your families. You have, you know, those people who are high achievers do a lot in terms of navigating everybody else's landscapes, right? And take on so much responsibility. But who gets left behind? Who gets left behind? So I'm very much interested in helping you change the pattern and getting into disrupting those patterns by intercepting our subconscious over this week and getting into better practices. So again, this is a lot about the negative self-talk and how it ends up turning into an overeating cycle and feeling bad and guilty. We have left and right hemispheres of our brain that help us negotiate choices. And often as business owners, we are focused on rational thought and critical thought. We're trained to and designed as business owners, as business leaders in professional lives, to actually problem solve on a minute to minute basis. Our brains are powerful tools. We're constantly using 99% of our brains to problem solve all the things that we need to think about on a daily basis. Whether you're running 2 businesses, have 5 children, or whatever it might be, it's about using that critical problem solving part of our brain constantly. And what we forget about is our right brain, which is about expansiveness, creativity, and imagination. And this is where I want to help you. And I want all of us to exercise over this course of the week. What does that right brain, how can we exercise that right brain a little bit more? And how can we make space for that? When we are in survival mode, we are in contraction, like I said, and we are disconnected. When we are in creation mode, in our right brain mode, we are in homeostasis. And this is the greatest place for us to spend our time, especially if you have a lot going on, to actually connect with our right brain, to self-nourish, self-care, and to really trust and not be in a point of contraction, and believe that there are possibilities. So all those positive affirmation are putting you into a creation mode and not a survival mode. We want to get out of survival. We want to get into creation. And Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he does a lot of mindset development work, but he talks about creating a permanent imprint for our future. And 5% of our conscious mind, our logic and reasoning mind, is utilizing, our emotions. But really, a lot of our habits and behaviors come from our subconscious, 95% of it. So that old programming, the familiar with the past, is how our habits and behaviors have come to be today. And this is an opportunity over the next 7 days to actually reprogram some of those habits and behaviors in our subconscious, and to take a look at that and go through exercises. So deeper within our brain center, we have that emotional feeling brain, which is called the limbic brain. And then we also have the part of our brain is called the reptilian brain, or the lizard brain, and that's instinctual. When we can exercise both of those parts of our brain into emotion and feeling, and also practice into instincts, and get practice into using emotions and reframing our emotions and redefining that, we start doing things differently. And then ultimately we start being. Okay, so our natural disposition is to be in survival mode. But what is possible if we can actually feel intuitively into the things that we want more of in our lives? And it's totally possible. So what lies beneath is the part of our brain that deals with emotion. And we know that our neurotransmitters are brain chemicals that communicate information to our body, including dopamine, which gets triggered when we are on highly refined carbohydrates and sugars. It triggers our dopamine hormone, which is our pleasure hormone. So if you're not having pleasure and joy in your life right now, You know, those Oreo cookies in the back of your trunk might be your dopamine hit that you need. But how long does that really last you? How long does it actually satisfy you? And their serotonin neurotransmitter is our feel-good hormone. And we know for certain our gut health has a lot to do with rebuilding these neurotransmitters, our feel-good hormones. So if you are eating in a manner which actually interferes with producing these neurotransmitters, it can actually affect our emotions. So there is a direct correlation with our nutrition and what we eat and how we feel. And so the six basic emotions are fear, anger, disgust, happiness, sadness, surprise, according to American psychologist Paul Ekman. But it is totally possible through the nutrition that we have, through retraining our habits. And it sounds like a lot, but it all starts really simply with just, coming from a vulnerable place and starting with yourself. And we know through Maslow's hierarchy of needs that our physiological needs like food, water, warmth, rest, shelter, if those basic survival needs are covered, those are the basic needs, then we also have the need to feel safe. When we redefine our definition of what safety means, we start to make different kinds of choices. And even though we haven't been connected in terms of relational connections and membership within communities like physically because of the pandemic, we know that the feeling of belongingness and the feeling of love is so critical to feeling fulfilled and satisfied. So, if you're not getting this in the relationships that you have for one reason or another, you can cultivate this, cultivate the feeling of belongingness, and through love and through intimacy and through friendships. And it goes up the whole chain to the pyramid, the top of the pyramid, where once these building blocks are built, our physical needs, our feelings of safety, our feelings of love and belonging and connection, we actually, once those things are kind of, it's not like a linear thing. It's like you're constantly building on top of one another, but you need to have a strong foundation. And, as we go up the chain of our needs, we all need to feel a sense of accomplishment. And a lot of times people who are stuck with their weight issues or their health issues, their pain issues, have difficulty feeling a sense of accomplishment because their physical needs aren't being met, right? And we know there's a lot of mystery illnesses out there that doctors can't explain to us at all, except to give us a script, and that's their answer, right? But we know when our physical and emotional and our safety and esteem issues or esteem needs for accomplishment feel met or somewhat satisfied on a daily basis, that we do feel more fulfilled and more passionate about the work that we want to do and accomplish in our life. So I just wanted to bring this. I know you guys are all probably familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I do kind of build components of this in the coaching programs that I offer. And it will be a part of touching upon all of these areas over this week. But it really starts with self. It starts with a place where we're acknowledging where we're at. We're acknowledging our imperfection and place of vulnerability. Because if we don't acknowledge it and we don't shine a light on it, basically, we're kind of just burying it. And we're burying it with the Oreos. We're burying it with whatever junk that may be lying around. And that's not just food junk. It may be, noise. It might be, not giving yourself the space to actually listen for your needs. Because we're so busy, we're so tuned in from the minute we wake up to the time we go to sleep. Our level of discernment goes away when we're so crowded with that critical thinking, problem solving mind from the minute we wake up to the time we go to sleep. And there's no time to feel into what we need and sensing. Am I missing connection? Am I missing safety? What is missing here? Am I missing love? And this is the whole psychological piece of it, which is based on science. But the other part of it is that whole stress curve of managing stress. And when we go inward, we are so much more capable. So I want you to just imagine with me for a second. Imagine yourself as a young girl. Imagine yourself as a young girl running on the beach. How you feel. Like, I want you to feel into this. Remember a memory that was positive, okay? The feeling of safety that your parents are there just a few feet away, but you're running. You're running on the beach with total freedom. And you're in play, that anything is possible, that you're splashing in the water, that you're not going to go hurt. You're not going to fall down, that you're feeling the wind in your hair. You just are running and you're splashing and nothing can hurt you. So these kind of powerful visualizations and memories that we define our lives on a day-to-day basis can actually affect, if we can bring these tools into our day-to-day basis, it's a powerful thing. So I have a series of images, expansiveness. Just imagine when you feel contracted, when you feel tight physically, when you feel like you don't have space to move, you don't have the room to grow or to create ideas, where you're feeling stuck, I want you to go back to that time. Go back to the time where you felt expansive, when you felt open, like nothing is going to go wrong. And as a young child, when we are running on the beach, we have a sense of openness without fear. It's about not having fear. We have a feeling of safety already built in. And that expansiveness, the feeling of expansiveness, is a positive affirmation that we can say, I am expanding. I am in an expansive space. I am in a place of worthiness to expand. I deserve to be expansive. I deserve to do bigger things in life. And when we are children, we create and we build things. And we're not afraid of someone telling us not to do something or that you're doing something wrong. Think of your children, think of yourself as a child again. And when you're building that sandcastle, all you're doing is thinking of building that sandcastle and imagining. So imagine. Utilizing your imagination is such a key element to expansiveness. It's using that right brain model. So not criticizing how tall or how big your sandcastle is, but it's just about building one step at a time, one little sand kernel at a time, that you're creating something. Nobody's judging you. So imagine if you can give yourself that space to not judge of how big your castle needs to be. Losing that attachment to that outcome of how big your castle needs to be, and putting yourself there as a child again and saying, I just want to play. It's God's given gift for me to play and to build. That is my talent as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a leader in your household or leader in your business. You're there to motivate. You're there to actually bring freedom and expansion to your company, to your colleagues, to your family. So you are meant to build. But how can you build that castle without judgment? And how much joy and playfulness are you bringing? Okay. So if we're not into the practice, if we don't get into the practice of joy and playfulness in a day-to-day basis, laughing, I know on Clubhouse we have the laughing bugs, right? And you know, if we're unable to be in a position to give ourselves joy and play, where is our joy and playfulness coming from? Where is our freedom coming from? And so I want you to think about that. Take inventory right now. Take inventory of your life right now. Where is joyfulness and playfulness coming into your life? And, you know, often the excuses are, I don't have time for joy. I don't have time for play. Are you kidding? I have so much to do. And this doesn't require a significant amount of time. What it requires is a shift of our mindset. It requires a shift of our mindset. And when we are accessing our right brain, the non-criticizing, non-judging mind, the non-problem solving mind, and we're accessing our creation mind, we are able to imagine playfulness, joy, just in our own living rooms, just in front of your desk, even right now at this moment. Just transporting your brain to a moment of play and what that feels like in terms of playfulness and that freedom to laugh and not care and to get dirty and not have our judging critical mind, problem solving mind saying, oh my gosh, if you get dirty, then you're going to have to take a shower. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that, clean up. Maybe these ideas and these dialogue recordings have been living with you for a while. It could have come from parents and how you grew up. It could have come from, you know, your spouses, you know, after being together for 20, 30, 50 years. It could have come from different places in your life in terms of that rational critical thinking mind, that problem solving mind. Well, geez, you're going to make a mess. So don't make a mess. But how does that stop you when you hear don't make a mess and don't mess up? It basically completely disables you from joy and playfulness. So that imagination is your magic carpet. It's your magic carpet. It's a tool that you can use to actually transport yourself in moments in time when you are limited with time. Time is valuable. So if you are not spending, you know, at least an hour a day in imagination, in playfulness, um, where are you finding that right brain exercise, that creation mode? And as business owners, as business leaders, we need to be creative. We need to pivot. We need to think expansively. Because if we don't think expansively, we're just playing in small, right? We're just making little small movements step by step, which is fine. But you're never really going to accelerate. You're never really going to get beyond the walls that you've created in terms of your rational thinking mind saying to you, don't make a mess, don't mess this up. Now don't mess this up, because if you're going to mess it up, then, you know, blah blah blah, you're going to fail. That's our survival brain talking to us. And so this entire week is about exercising our right brain. How do you guys feel about that? Give me a thumbs up if you think that sounds like a good idea. You know, let's exercise our creativity. Let's exercise our ability to imagine over this week. Imagine a new way of doing things, looking at your calendar and saying, how can I exercise my right brain? Even if it's for 10 minutes to begin with at a time, even 10 minutes. And when we get into meditation, and positive affirmations in our theta brain, kind of theta is in your half sleep state early in the morning before you're really awake before your coffee. When we are able to exercise our creativity or theta brain, we are actually encoding information in our subconscious. So I want you to think about that. And again, it's about vulnerability. It's like saying, like, I'm ready for this. I really want this change. I really want this for myself because I know I'm meant for more. I know I'm meant for more. So open palms, even the act of open palms and open hands can actually change the energetic level around you. Opening your chest and opening your arms, saluting the sun, greeting the sun with your arms and your physical body is saying, I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to receive. And closing your eyes and saying, I'm going to close my conscious brain. I'm going to close my conscious brain down, my rational thinking brain down for a minute. I'm going to put that on pause and actually allow some encoding of the subconscious. And the encoding of the subconscious happens through imagination, through experience of joy and play and freedom. And even if it's a transportation of your mindset for 10 minutes a day, this can make or break your day entirely. It can actually accelerate your results, your performance in your day, not in terms of just productivity, but it starts rewiring how you actually take care of yourself too. Because that 10 minutes a day, you want more of that. Once you start, the 10 minutes a day, you're like, oh my gosh, I need more of that, because life stressors or interference comes at us from all sides. And when it's coming at us from all sides, it's really difficult to swat it away because it's like just penetrating us from all sides. So one of the things that's so important is to protect ourselves and to strengthen our mindset. To strengthen our mindset is really about protection. So no matter what, we're all going to have stressors. That's the real deal. Like, that's reality and that's life. I'm not saying forget about reality of all the things that you have to do and take care of, but it's about negotiating how strongly you want to strengthen your right brain mode of creation, how you want to exercise that right brain. And it requires protection. And just even 10 minutes a day in your half sleep state in the morning is a powerful time to actually start setting intentions about protecting yourself and protecting your space and time. So if you are constantly have been sabotaging your time with all the things that you need to do and have not put 5 or 10 minutes into your day to really protect yourself, this is better than vitamins and this is better than food. This is the real medicine here. And it's about protecting our minds. And our minds are able to do so much. It's a powerful, powerful tool. We are constantly crunching down so much information in our minds. And that is mostly done by our critical, rational thinking brain. So give yourself the time to surrender, to open your palms, to face the light, to face the sun, to receive, saying, I am worthy to receive. I am in a place where I have a bigger purpose in this life. And it's not just about crunching numbers. It's not just about hitting those sales. It's not just about this or that. All the task list things that you have on your desk. But giving yourself the time to surrender is really the first step. So you can do the things that you love. In your midlife, it's about making life delicious, that you want to explore, you know? And instead of the bag of rocks on your back, maybe it's a bag of joy that you're carrying around that you can give to others, you know? That you are smiling in your day, that you're going somewhere. Maybe it's about generosity, giving, you know, giving to others. Maybe your purpose is to serve others. And if you're in a place of service, how much more can you give when you are in your power, you know, and when you are steady and when you have a foundation of protection on a daily basis? And this is your superpower. I'm telling you right now. And in our midlife and as we continue to age, it's really about connection. What are we leaving behind? And we're all, you know, a lot of people are, you know, you hear on Clubhouse like the Millionaires Club and whatever, I want to achieve the Millionaires Club and all that stuff, you know, fast, quick wins and so forth. But at the end of the day, this is what it's about, ladies and gents in my group. But this is what it's really about. It's about connecting. It's about love. It's about belonging to something much bigger and much more real that will live with you literally forever and ever beyond the grave. It's about spirituality. This is what we're living for. So we are meant to have more. We are meant to have love and connection and light in our lives. And I just want to end with this. The answers are really within. I'm going a little bit over in time, I realize. I am currently seeing a glimpse of the woman I'm meant to be. And she is stunning. She knows who she is. She's in balance with her polarities. She's in flow with her feminine more than ever, yet still honoring her masculine powers. She is water with fire, which creates luscious steam heat. She gracefully laughs at the nuances of being human and takes note of the things that need to be rehabbed. And she trusts everything that is lining up for her, even though it cannot be seen fully or understood at the present time. She is heart-centered, allowing for life to unfold however it will, but trusting. And she is filled with gratitude for all these lessons, especially the hard ones that locked her up. She is committed to her inner journey, diving into the depths of her heart to love more, to love herself more, and to love others more. And she knows the answer is within. She knows that the answer is always love, to begin with love first. And she knows who she is. And who she is a heart-surrendered woman. And this is a place where I want you to say to yourself, whether it's saying it in your mind or out loud, I am currently seeing a glimpse of the woman I'm meant to be. Say that out loud. I am currently seeing a glimpse of the woman I'm meant to be. And she is stunning. So I want to end with that mantra. and that thought. And we will say this mantra again every single day this week. And I am so grateful for you to join me today. I hope you got some good things out of it. Please put it in the comments below what one important thing that you took away from tonight's training. Just one thing, if it's just one. Maybe there's more than one, but put it into the comments. What was something that you took away? If you can't access it, let's see. Any one thing. I'm just going to check here. So anyway, you can share in, so Lori and Alexandria also, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you can join me every night this week at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Every day is a different topic, and I would love to share these exercises with you. And for those of you who are joining me on Facebook, please bring your notes and pens and colored pencils or whatever this week, and join me in participating in this exercise over this week. And so I'm in a place of generosity and giving because I love you guys, and I know you are meant for more. I know it, and I know that you are stunning. So thank you for joining me tonight. And if you did register through Eventbrite, you will get the replay so you can listen again, or just join me again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And this will be every single day for 7 days in a row. So I'm so grateful. I hope if you want to continue to comment or email with any main takeaways, please put that into the chat or email me, and I would love your feedback and thoughts. And I'm so grateful that you joined me tonight. So thank you so much. And I will see you guys. Let's make this week really incredible. Make this time for yourself, because when else are you going to have time? All right. So I will see you tomorrow night, same time, same bat channel. And thank you again. And let me just say thanks again. And hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday night. Get some rest and think about some of the things we said. Right brain, left brain. How are you going to exercise that right brain this week? We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow night.